Hello and welcome to another PH video blog. Today I'm going to talk to you about a Nissan GT-R, not any old Nissan GT-R. This is the Litchfield LM20. It is a modified GT-R, like seemingly all Nissan GT-Rs are. What's it got under the hood? Well, it's got a 675 horsepower version of the 3.8 litre V6. This is apparently adequate in Nissan tuning terms. We've also got some fairly fancy carbon fibre here. That's proper aero, wind tunnel honed, proper job. We have got some Alcon brakes, Litchfield branded, some very fancy HRE wheels. They're very nice, perhaps not as nice as the Volt Racing TE37s that the car has been photographed with before. I like those wheels, but you know, each to their own. Pilot Sport Cup 2 tyres, serious rubber, a lot of it as well. As we get round the back, we've got rather fancy carbon fibre spoiler and some Litchfield branding, bigger exhausts for less back pressure and to help with the throttle response and make a really good noise, which is what I'm going to do now. So what exactly is the point of tuning a Nissan GT-R? I mean, I've driven various versions of this car over the years in standard form, and never once have I got out of one going, you know what that needs? More power. And yet, amongst owners, seemingly the first thing most people want to do is to get more power out of it. And frankly, I'm not really sure I understand why, because as it comes out of the box, this 2017 model year car has got 570 horsepower and 469 pound-feet of torque, which is, I think, plenty. If you go up to the Nismo version, you get 600 horsepower and 481 pound-feet of torque, which is a fair increase. This Litchfield LM20, a limited edition of just 20 cars that Litchfield will be building, has 675 horsepower and 615 pound-feet of torque. Now, in GT-R tuning standards, Litchfield described that as sensible or conservative even, because many GT-R buyers go for a lot more than that. In fact, Ian Litchfield, just before he set out on this drive, was telling me that, you know, about 800 horsepower, that's about the kind of sensible level you want to be talking about before you have to start worrying about upgrading the transmission and things like that. 800 horsepower? Sensible? No, it's not. Anyway, so with that little rant out of the way, why on earth would you want to tune up a GT-R? Well, it's all part of the magic of the car, isn't it? The generations of Skyline before this, you know, they were really considered as blank canvases onto which owners could express their desire to go faster, really faster if they want, and perhaps spend quite a bit of money in the process. I mean, a lot of Litchfield's customers and other people tuning up GT-Rs, they're spending tens of thousands of pounds to get to this kind of power. Why would you do that? I failed to understand, or rather I did, until I got to drive this car, because this basically distills about a decade's worth of GT-R tuning expertise that Litchfield have built up over the years, and they've been tweaking all sorts. They haven't just been putting big turbos and going for big power, they've been tuning the gearboxes, they've been tuning the transmission, they've been fiddling about with the suspension parts and all this kind of stuff, just to basically make a whole package. And with this LM20, basically, they say they've got the best all-round package of all the stuff that they've learnt over the years. And actually, when you start adding it up, it begins to look almost sensible. So overall, this costs about £96,000 for the car I'm driving here, which is a lot of money, but then it's about the same, give or take, as the track edition Nismo that Nissan will sell you, and that still has just the 570 horsepower and a load of other bits and bobs as well. But already for similar money you're 100 horsepower up, but you get so much more in this Litchfield car as well. Let me just talk you through some of the bits and bobs. So it's got its own intake system, a Litchfield intake system. It's got new fuel injectors, it's got turbo downpipes, it's got bigger fuel pumps, it's got an ECU remap, all that kind of stuff. Then in the suspension, it's got all new Bilstein Damptronic dampers, which are the same as what the standard GT-R uses, but Litchfield has been working over the years with Bilstein to perfect its own tuning package for them. You get some Alcon brakes, which are very nice. You get a big fat 102mm exhaust system, Litchfield's own. Now, Ian was telling me that the thing that turbo cars need is just maximum breathing, and that big fat exhaust really helps the engine unleash the beast inside. And it also sounds really quite fierce, as you can probably hear. It's an amazing sounding thing, I've got to say. I heard it going up and down when I was on the outside of it, and it's a savage sounding machine with loads of kind of whooshes and gurgles from the turbos as well. It's not lacking in excitement, let me put it that way. So the suspension's really interesting. So over the years, the GT-R has got steadily more comfortable as Nissan has just dialed back some of that really extreme nature of the car, just to try and make it a bit more usable day to day. And what Litchfield has done, so the dampers have got their 3 settings, the comfort, the standard and the R mode as before, but the spring rates are actually quite a lot stiffer. So the front springs are apparently as much as, well, nearly 50% stiffer than standard, and they're actually from a NASCAR, which is cool. The rear ones are not quite as significantly stiffened, but still, I think he said, I think it was about 30% by the time you add in the anti-roll bar as well. So the spring rates are up, but the range of the dampers has actually increased. Now, as you can see, we can build the pace up a little bit here. And my God, this car is just extraordinary. It's absolutely nuts. In that very GT-R way, you can just, it does feel turbocharged. There is lag in GT-Rs, but to be honest, I quite like that because it's quite exciting. And also, the engines like to rev, so that's 6, 7. It's an exciting engine. Not, well, exciting because it's got loads of power, but exciting because it's got real character as well. I'm just going to up it into the R mode now, maybe see if I can get a bit more aggression. My God, that's just outrageous. It's so fast. It's absolute, it's addictive. And now I can maybe begin to understand why people get so hooked on the tuning habit and spend so much money making an already fast car even faster. So does it work on the road? Well, I'm in the comfort setting on the dampers now, and it really does have some flow. This particular bit of road is really evil and bumpy. It's apparently where Litchfield do their own suspension testing, so I'm in the right place to find out whether or not the work they've done makes a difference. And yes, there's less of the harshness you get in a standard GT-R. It's still a burly, physical car to drive quickly, but it's got a little bit more compliance in this comfort mode. It does actually have a sense that it's flowing with the road a bit, which is quite a big difference from standard, I have to say. Now, if I go up into the standard mode, this is the kind of mid setting, so you'd have to kind of expect this is where the spring rates and damper rates are kind of most evenly matched, and it's still not harsh. There are no rattles or nasty shudders through the structure or anything like that. Yes, it's definitely got a fiercer tone, and I'm feeling a bit more weight through the steering. That's one of the things that Litchfield has done. They've actually changed some of the components in the steering to improve the feel. And this is one of the things about the GT-R. A lot of people slag it off for being a video game car, and it's, you know, it's a point and shoot machine. It doesn't have to drive it. It's not, you know, it's just for straight line heroes. This is utter rubbish. You can drive a GT-R like that and you'll be very impressed, and it'll feel really quick. But actually, as the years have gone by, weirdly, the GT-R has become, I hate the term and it's not applicable here, but I'll use it anyway because you'll know what I mean, an analog car, because it's got hydraulic steering. It's more mechanical in the way it goes about its business than a lot of more recent performance cars that have come on the market since. So for all the kind of electronic trickery that everybody talks about in the GT-R, it's actually, yeah, a much more traditionally driving car than many people give credit for. So there's real feel through the steering, much better than you get in a Porsche or most other modern performance cars, I would say. There's feedback. It doesn't, and with these Litchfield modifications, it doesn't quite have that nasty tramlining that you get in some of the fiercer GT-Rs. So it's both mellower but more focused. I think that's really impressive. But yeah, for all those people who think that GT-Rs are just about the straight line speed, you are dead wrong. This is a car with real nuance about it, and totally outrageous acceleration as well. So, and on the track, one thing you learn about GT-Rs as well is that they are endlessly adjustable. They're not just point and squirt machines. They can be balanced on the throttle, they can be made to rotate. If you trail the brakes into a turn in a GT-R, you all of a sudden unleash this whole completely different car that I think quite a lot of people don't get to experience. But out here on the road, just how much of that performance can you actually use? Well, quite a bit actually, because as you can hear, it's such an exciting car to be in. And that feel and feedback that I'm getting through all the controls, the steering, the brakes, all that kind of stuff, the ride, it all makes it exciting at even what by GT-R standards are fairly pedestrian speed. It's just a mere fraction of what this car is capable of. I mean, bear in mind, this is now officially a 200 mile an hour plus car. The standard GT-R is just under, but with the Litchfield modifications, we're now in a 200 odd mile an hour car that will do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. That is bonkers. And all of a sudden starts making sense of that 96 grand price tag. At that kind of money, this level of performance, although GT-Rs have got more expensive over the years, there's not much else that's going to give you that kind of speed for anything like this amount of money. But what's impressive about this car is it doesn't feel like a one-trick pony. It doesn't just feel like a standard car that's been boosted up just to go faster. It's the complete package, and there are all sorts of reasons why Litchfield can offer this package for a price like this, but I think it does all add up, which kind of brings us full circle really to the point I was making at the beginning. Why would you bother putting loads of money into making an already fast car even faster? Well, I could prattle on about that all day long, or I could just show you.